She's Lara Croft. She's one of the few people that has like managed to keep Tom Cruise alive or handcuffed to him on a train. I don't think a lot of people can say that. She's battled Hydra, she's many a henchman, soon Doctor Doom, but for now she's going to battle some of my very average questions. So please, give an enormous welcome for the brilliant Hayley Atwell! I was just saying, that is such a cool entrance. I come bounding up here like, oh, hello, and it was just so...
We balance each other out though.
Oh, you're the yin to my yang.
Exactly, I'm the yin to your yang.
No, but I think I want to be more of your yang. You're so cool. I'm just going to do this for 30 minutes to say how cool you are. But, I mean, you've just come back from D23, LA, hanging out with Robert Downey Jr., the sunshine, and now you're in London with me, that's had about 4 sausage rolls for breakfast. How does that feel, that decline in...
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Oh, stop it!
Well, first of all, London is home. I live here. I think I'll always live here. My family are here. And then, the thing I feel very lucky about is that because the movies I've been involved in have such an active and loyal fan base, when I come to events like this, I get to see who you guys are, which is odd because when you're making a film, audiences sort of exist in an abstract in your mind because you're doing it to a camera, so you don't ever really see who watches it. And then it's only when you kind of come to events like this that you get to have that live experience of who this work talks to, who kind of is into these worlds. And I think that Marvel in particular has one of the strongest fan bases in the world, and I feel very grateful to have that support.
Well, when you came out, I saw people going like, there was chairs being thrown, like people. Do you ever get used to that sensation?
No, I think it also enlivens me to feel like if people want, with an audience, you never want to give them something that they don't want. And I'm sure there are people who are like, Peggy's boring, or whatever. People have their favourites, and I'm not going to be everyone's, and that is fine. But when you do meet people who the character you portrayed has touched them in some way, in the way that I know what it's like to feel touched by characters that I watch myself, and I love that, like being able to meet the actor who's portrayed them or brought it to life, really enjoying the experience of meeting the audiences. I think it's a very humbling thing. It's a lovely and rare opportunity to have.
And I'm glad we can talk about your whole career. I'm glad we can finally say the word Doomsday.
Yes.
Doomsday.
Yes.
You know that you're in it. Because I remember watching that epic live stream with every single person's name on it, and I'm going, oh, where's Haley's name going to come? I nearly rioted. I'm not going to lie, when it didn't.
Yeah.
Has Kevin Feige since got you a chair with your name on it?
I don't have a chair with my name on it yet. Can you believe it? I think. Well, also that was because, the thing. On set, I didn't have Peggy Carter or Hayley Atwell. I had Jessica. Like I had a name so that if any press caught it or fans would catch it, they'd be like, just use that. And so that's why I don't have a Hayley Atwell or a Peggy Carter. So I'm fine with that. I'm like, I get it. It's a special reveal. But when the line of chairs came out, they didn't tell me that I wouldn't be on it. So I had to call my agent and go, have they cut me? What does it mean? So I was like in the dark, just as much as the fans were for quite a while.
Well, I don't want to one-up Kevin Feige here. I don't want to say I'm better than him, but I have spent all of my budget on this. I mean, I think I came to about £8.70, so that is for you.
Oh, is this for me?
That is for you.
Thank you so much. Should I do the rest of the interview like this? That's very cute. I can use it as my phone rest.
Oh, yeah.
A phone not there. Why not I just do this for now? Let's test how stable it is. Okay.
I warn you now, it is cheap. That was close to breaking into 1,000 pieces.
It's got a purpose.
I was worried. When you went on it, I saw health and safety charging down here as well. They were fearful. Now, we get to talk about Peggy Carter, who you've lived with for about 15 years now, and I think when the first Captain America came out, did you have any idea that this length of time would go on, that you'd be in this many projects, that this many people would still be going crazy for that character?
Of course not. I remember when I first auditioned for the film, First Avenger, Marvel wasn't what it then later became. It was like a new wave, a new phase, and obviously you had Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr.'s kind of success. But with the first Avenger, it was a sort of this unknown territory, and so I just turned up for the audition as I would any audition. You learn the lines, you prepare, you kind of work out kind of making active choices about how you might want to kind of suggest the character to be played, be truthful, be on time, and do your best, and then leave knowing that if you get the role, it was meant to be, and if you're not, well, at least you tried. And then even during filming it was a wonderful summer in London, and it was, we had a great cast of people, but we still didn't know what it was going to be. I think also Chris Evans had turned it down initially several times, and I think he was nervous that if it didn't work out, then it would be like a big fail for him. But if it did work out, it would change his life exponentially, and that also has a cost and consequence. And so I think there was just a sense of like, turn up every day, have fun, but also let go of the expectation of what it would become. And then I think also for me, I was unknown, and I was doing a lot of theatre. I went straight from the premiere of Captain America to the Royal Court Theatre to do a play. And so I didn't have that sense of sort of any visibility in the industry, I suppose, that I do now. And I was grateful for that, because it meant that I didn't have, again, much to... I didn't have far to fall if it didn't do well. Now I do, so I'm terrified. But it's great. It's amazing to be here. Like, also to play a character that then you get to revisit 15 years later. It's in part. It's not necessarily feeling like, oh, I'm back in those kind of shoes, because I sort of do it instinctively anyway. But I'm like, oh, I'm back with these audiences, these fans that wouldn't necessarily come and see other stuff that I've done, because I have sort of quite a range of tastes and interests when it comes to acting, but I know these audiences.
Well, that's what I would say, because obviously a lot of characters, the production end is, they're done with that character, that's it. You've got to go through it in different films, different projects, and you sort of touched on it there. Does it feel like you're just going back to that character, or is it like now, oh, I'm just reuniting with an old buddy, like this is my mate now?
I think, I hope that we all feel that we still, even when we become adults, we still change and evolve over time, and our tastes change, and I don't feel like I really am the person I was 5 years ago in some ways, in a healthy way. And so every time I'm kind of, I suppose, come back, it's not so much sort of a backwards move to something familiar, but more of like, what is a new way of telling this? Or what is a new way of entering this world and giving something a little bit different or interesting for me to play as a challenge, but also for the audiences to feel like the characters were evolving. And I felt that, I was so sad when the show Agent Carter ended, that it had just begun to explore the levity of the character and the kind of the humour and the wholesome charm of that kind of period world setting. And it was one of the first Marvel series that ever happened, and I felt like that was the beginning of a new chapter for her that then kind of went in a different direction. And then I had all these like cameos in other Marvel films, so you never really know kind of what Marvel has in store for that character, and also what really the audiences are wanting. So it's just kind of keeping present and open to the possibility of hopefully just trying new ways to play her.
And I think you've had so many iconic, amazing moments within the MCU, but there is one moment I think has just resonated. It's landed this immortality online, and that is you decking that bloke in Captain America. That punch, I tell you what, when you first got to do that must have felt good, didn't it? No,
I felt really bad because Lex, who played the actor opposite me, the loveliest guy, Lex Shrapnel, his name is. It's an amazing name. And you're never going to forget that moment. So I felt he also sold the reaction, I think, very well. But that was the kind of the fun thing, at that time I hadn't had much opportunities to play a character that physically forceful, and yet it was also quite British reserve and sort of quite, uniformed and serious and put together. But then every so often you suddenly go, oh, she can throw a punch and she can hold her own. And it was a challenge. You don't want to have like, the punch has to kind of deliver.
And it does, because I'm scared if one of these questions is bad, you could just punch me. That's my biggest fear.
Can you imagine? Go viral all of a sudden.
Why did you say that with a smile on your face?
Because I think you could take it.
Yeah, so anyway, thanks Hayley. So next question. That's why you're the film star and I'm not. Did you get your out of breath and I didn't? That was really struggle.
Still digesting those 4 sausage rolls from breakfast, aren't you?
Oh, you remember that, didn't you? Good. And I think something that really makes Peggy so amazing is that she was introduced to this franchise without any superpowers. She's not shooting aliens, she's not flying through the sky, she was just really bloody good at her job. Do you think that's why she's resonated with so many people?
I think maybe the enduring love story between them both is partly why people remember and they think of Peggy. Because it's a love story based on longing and based on sort of sense of like, will they ever have their moment? And when they do get their moment, the satisfaction of that and this knowing what they've both been through, I think is very moving for people to see. And then I think for when I've met fans at conventions particularly, and some brilliant lines that have come out of the series. Michelle Fazakis, who was one of the showrunners on our series, she came up with the line, "I know my value," and that anyone else's opinion doesn't really matter. And I've met so many people who have loved that. And I have a little kind of insider information. I've used that line when I have negotiated contracts with Marvel. When they're like, okay, do you want to come and do this film? And I'm like, sure, let's have a look at the contract. And I'm like, we'll do a counter offer, as you should do as a business person. And I've come back with, well, I know my value, and it's actually this. and obviously, we're all friends. But it's been kind of satisfying to go. There are so many aspects of the quality of who Peggy is that has given me the confidence to use and to go, okay, if I'm able to say these lines with conviction, I've got to embody them myself. And I find that her sort of very grown up, very mature attitude to conflict and to feeling underused, not seen properly, reduced, making certain assumptions because she's a woman. I find it very satisfying to embody a core sense of self that she has. It gives her the confidence and the conviction to just carry on living the life she wants to live.
I would love to be in a contract negotiation, by the way, just to hear you quote every, like they go, you can't negotiate all day, and you're like, I could do this all day. I could do this all day. I think it works. Like, I want to give you money.
Yes.
Like, it works.
Yes, it does. They're killer one-liners.
I mainly want to give you money because you threatened to beat me up just 5 seconds ago. That's the main reason. But aside from that. And then Peggy went and got herself a little shield. A little something in a big shield there. Tell me, when you first knew you were going to be the one to be holding that shield, how did you do that? What was going through your mind?
So I was delighted. I think, I got to play obviously more in the voice, the animation of What If, and that was so satisfying, although that just involved me being essentially in sweatpants in a recording booth. And I love that you get to see the animation of how you're being able to physically do more, which I could have done in live action, I think. And I think so I love the idea that she'd be the suit and she'd have the shields. And if I'm really brutally honest, I was so disappointed with how they positioned her and what happened to her in that scene. It's so small, and she gets frisbeed to death. After saying a line, she's like, I could do this all day, and then there's some frisbee to death, and I'm like, no, you couldn't. And then people going, no, she's so lame. And I was like, I felt that was a bum steer and a complete disservice to the character. And I tried on set to kind of go, can I just add, can I just suggest? And they were like, sure, but no. It's the movie's great. I just think that moment was sort of you can start to see how much fun Peggy's having in that position, and how I felt like naturally she personifies those kind of qualities in that suit. I think they could have, and I hope maybe one day in the future they'll give her more in that capacity.
I want more in that capacity. I do. 'Cause I do. You're so physical in what you do. I mean, obviously the Mission Impossible stuff. I remember we spoke about that before, and I remember you telling me some of the stunts that you could do in that. And even I can imagine Tom Cruise being like, "Oh, I have to up my game now to beat you."
Well, there is sometimes a sense of, I'm very type A and I'm perfectionist, and I work really hard. If someone says, go off and learn this skill for this scene, I will go off and do it properly. And when I get onto set and then they discover that I've done it properly, they're like, oh, you can do this. Or do you mean you can do, I can do the job that I was asked to do? Yes, that's how it tends to work. So being able to do more of that in Mission was really satisfying. And Tom just mean, you don't go into a Mission Impossible film expecting or wanting even a stunt double to do any of the work for you. You absolutely have to meet Mr. Cruise at that level as best you possibly can, and there's no one like him who can do those things.
I mean, you're a lot better than me, because if I was in your position, I would want a stunt double doing everything. I would want to watch them do it all and I go, brilliant, I was great at that. That's what I want. You're a better person than me. So when you got to hold the shield and do this stuff, were you looking at what Chris had previously done with the shield and sort of going, oh no, I'm not going to do it like that, I'm going to do it like this, or sort of how did you make it your own thing?
Oh, it's just being, I suppose the just being comfortable with it. Like the shield really is an extension of that character's body in that moment. It should feel like something incredibly natural that they just have held for a very long time. So I was kind of walking around set, just holding onto it and having the backpack on as well, like the jetpack, which was really fun. It didn't take off anywhere, but yeah, I think for me also, it's part, again, I talk about it a lot, I'm sorry if you're bored of theatre, but it's my background, but I work a lot with props. So I've always found that on stage, if you have a prop, you've got something physically active to do on stage rather than just sort of standing there static. So props for me are a great way of demonstrating what the character is thinking or feeling, like subtext-wise, or what they think about the other. You can tell so much about what I would think about another character on stage by the way I would stir sugar in my tea. I could do it very aggressively, I could do it while shaking, and that would tell you that underneath the surface is something going on for my character. So I love that props can be, again, just a natural extension of what we're trying to share with the audience about who that person is.
See, I knew you was going to say that. That's why I gave you that prop chair. That's why. I knew you was going to say that. Yeah. I don't just throw this stuff together 20 minutes ago, I'll tell you. Definitely not.
So connected.
And obviously, the world of Marvel, there's a lot of green screen, there's a lot of special effects added, but when you're doing the stuff with the shield, you're actually doing these motions and stuff with the shield.
Yeah.
How much do you ever catch yourself and think, well, I'm a bit of an ick doing this? Like, do you ever feel weird in yourself doing it?
Oh, there's loads of that, and hopefully you're just making sure that they're not going to put that in when they're editing. And so I'd have to keep going, like, let's just not do that one. Let's just, but just make me look good. And the thing is, with those stunt guys as well, it's in their best interests for you to look good as well. So they're never going to put in all the many versions that everyone gets wrong or just looks really bad. Although it is it's wonderful to see, because it's inevitable, we're all human, right? So when there's a certain move in a take that doesn't quite land, or we go to catch something and then it falls, I find that just so charming and endearing, because we're playing like characters that are meant to be so in control and so cool, and so when someone trips up or drops something and or makes a funny noise while they're doing it, or makes their own sound effects, that's always my favourite. I remember hearing Ewan McGregor when he was with his lightsaber and had to be told to stop doing the noise as he was acting. I was like, I totally relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the coolest thing you could have possibly said at that moment. Now, we touched on it a little while ago, Mission Impossible. I love this franchise so much. And, we've all seen it. You go toe to toe with, it's not someone called Tom Cruise, it's not someone. And I want to know, how does doing something like that help you as an action performer? Because that is the top of your game. You do not get bigger stunts than that. I mean, you're not half-arsing it. You are doing it.
Yeah.
How does that help you?
He's so inspiring. I think a lot of you, of course, more understandable, know his public persona and the brand, I suppose, of him as being sort of like an anomaly. He's like one of those kind of traditional, like old school movie stars. And yet he's working today at the top of his game in these huge action franchises in his early 60s, and he can do it. I've never met someone so committed to their profession, and also to encouraging everyone that works with him and around him to expect a higher standard of themselves, and to provide the support and resources to really get there to challenge yourself. So I just found it really motivating. And yeah, and then sort of like the feeling of taking that kind of idea and going, well, how can I also use this in other situations, social situations, or business negotiations, or of bringing that sense of being brave.